All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling something absolutely crucial, the pressing global issues surrounding our environment. But we're not just looking at the science. We're going to master the advanced Korean expressions and debate strategies you need to discuss these high-stakes solutions. Whether you're prepping for a formal debate or you just really want to wrap your head around the complex arguments for alternative energy, having this structured vocabulary, it literally makes all the difference. So let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the environmental crisis, exploring alternative energy, advanced grammar for debates, the art of agreement, polite disagreement strategies, and finally, the big one, the nuclear energy debate.
Part 1. The environmental crisis. Understanding the problem. Now this elegantly illustrates the root of our challenge. You've got solar energy entering the atmosphere, right? But the resulting heat gets trapped close to the Earth's surface. It's like a giant invisible blanket. This is the greenhouse effect, or 온실효과 in Korean. Understanding this mechanism is the absolute baseline for us, because it is the primary driver behind rapid global warming. So looking at the vocabulary, there's a direct logical chain of cause and effect here. Our heavy reliance on fossil fuels, 화석연료, is directly linked to a massive increase in greenhouse gases, or 온실가스. And this accumulation triggers global warming, 지구온난화, which ultimately brings about the abnormal climates, 이상기후, that we're seeing all over the world right now. Oh, and keep this critical term in mind, 방사능에 오염되다, which means being contaminated with radiation. That is going to be highly relevant when we get to nuclear energy a bit later. Moving on to Part 2, exploring alternative energy, the path forward.
To counter the environmental damage we just talked about, we really have to pivot to alternative energy, or 대체 에너지. This captures the essence of that shift perfectly, harnessing the infinite natural power of the sun and the wind. When you're in a debate on energy policy, presenting these solutions helps ground your argument in tangible, progressive technology.
Notice the stark contrast we've mapped out here. On one side, you have traditional energy sources like oil and coal, 석유 and 석탄, and these are the main culprits behind carbon emissions. But on the other side, alternative energies, wind, solar, and hydropower, 풍력, 태양광, and 수력. Drawing this sharp distinction in a debate forces your listener to weigh an unsustainable past against a cleaner, sustainable future.
All right, Part 3, Advanced Grammar for Debates, the right tools.
So, the grammar structure V-girossani is literally your best friend when you want to acknowledge a point, but vigorously object to its extreme conclusion. Take a look at this example. It asks, even granting that someone committed a heinous crime, does that give us the right to take a human life? By attaching girossani to the verb, you're basically conceding a premise without conceding the entire argument. You're drawing a really firm ethical line. Conversely, a lot of debate is about making formal proposals. Imagine yourself standing at an international climate summit. You'd use the structure VAO 주십사 to respectfully ask for cooperation or action, like requesting someone's attendance at a gathering. By framing your requests with this kind of elevated, polished courtesy, you command respect and show profound professionalism.
Part 4, The Art of Agreement, Building Alliances.
Debate is, at its core, a team sport. If you want to express absolute, total agreement, you declare 전적으로 동의합니다. I totally agree. But for a slightly more nuanced approach, maybe just stating you share the same stance, you'd use 저도 같은 입장입니다. Deploying these strategically during a discussion validates your peers, strengthens your coalition, and really builds momentum for your side.
Part 5, Polite Disagreement Strategies, the Counterargument.
Now, a direct statement that your opinion is different, 제 의견은 좀 다릅니다, is perfectly fine. But the cushioned rebuttal? That is masterful. You validate their point first by saying 일리가 있기는 하지만, it makes sense, but, and then you completely dismantle it with 쉽다는 점에서는 문제가 있습니다. There's a problem in that. Delivering your counterargument this way keeps the debate focused on facts rather than emotions, which shows true intellectual maturity.
Which brings us to Part 6, the nuclear energy debate, applying your skills. The shadow of the Chernobyl disaster, even decades later, starkly reminds us of the incredibly high stakes involved in atomic energy. These haunting visuals of abandoned sites and radiation warnings absolutely force us to confront reality. When we debate nuclear energy, we're not just talking about abstract economics. We are weighing tremendous existential risks against our desperate, urgent need for clean energy solutions.
This table outlines the core clash impartially. On the pro-nuclear side, or Chansung, the arguments focus heavily on efficiency. Proponents argue it's highly economical and emits very low levels of greenhouse gases. But on the anti-nuclear side, Bande, the counter-arguments are equally strong. They point out that absolute safety just cannot be guaranteed, and the disposal of radioactive nuclear waste remains a massive, unsolved crisis. They argue our resources would actually be much better spent fully developing alternative energies.
Armed with a precise vocabulary for the environmental crisis, some truly sophisticated grammar structures for argumentation, and a balanced view of the facts, I want to leave you with this final, critical question to ponder and debate. Considering the undeniable threat of climate change and the severe risks of atomic power, is the construction of new nuclear power plants truly our only option forward? Think critically, use your new tools, and keep exploring the complex world around you.